the door closed, trust that God saw something that you didn't. Today, my brother Joel and I are talking about how to stop fighting those closed doors, because when God says no, it's never to harm you. It's to help you walk into something greater. I hope you enjoyed this interview.
Another thing that I think we want to build faith tonight, and I think your faith is being built, but you had not so easy course buying that compact center. Kind of had a challenge there.
Yeah, it's interesting, April. So the church began to grow, and where the church was located, it was a couple miles off the freeway, but it was a residential neighborhood. It had already seated 8,000 people, and you really couldn't build a larger auditorium there. You know, by the grace of God, the church was growing, so we needed a new place. Daddy always said that he would never move the church. And so I thought, I'm not going to move the church either. You know, I'm the new kid coming in here. And so we found a 100-acre tract of land about 2 or 3 miles from the original location. And I thought, well, this would be perfect because Daddy said he wouldn't move it. And this is somewhat close. It's right off the freeway. And I talked to the owner of the property. It's a good location and 100 acres. And he said, Joel, this property's been for sale for 20 years and I've never had one offer. And I thought, wow, God, you saved this property for us. And he said, you don't even need to sign the contract now. Let's get it drawn up. And he said, you can go do your soil samples and preliminary drawings. We did all that. Like 3 months later, and we had some contact with him. We had the contracts and all that stuff. I went to his office with our team to sign the contracts at 8 o'clock in the morning. His secretary walked out and said, I'm sorry, he sold the property last night to someone else. And I thought, this guy was so nice. And said, So anyway, I thought, you know what? I came home and I was so discouraged. I told Victoria, I think the devil stole our property and all this stuff. And she, everything's the devil when it doesn't go your way. But anyway, Victoria said, Joel, God has something better in store. We're not going to be depressed. We're not going to be that. But I couldn't see it because, it's a big city and there's not that many 100-acre tract of land. There's a lot of land inside the city. Well, we found another piece of property. Let me go fast. We found another piece of property. A couple months later, I promise you, the same thing. They sold it right out from under us 2 times. Well, about 6 months later, a friend called that I hadn't spoken to in a long time and said, Joel, I got to have lunch with you. I said, what's it about? He said, I'm going to tell you at lunch. So I hadn't talked to him in a long time. We talked a lot. He said, Joel, the Houston Rockets basketball team is going to move out of the compact center, and you should try to get that building for your church. And when he said that, something came alive on the inside. I mean, it was far more than I could ever ask or think. The compact center had 2 million people, Houstonians, come into it every year. It's on the second busiest freeway in Houston. It's the premier facility in all of our town. But when he said that, I just thought, you know what? I don't know. I was naive. I was 39 years old, but I thought that's supposed to be ours. Well, I'm making this story long. Sorry, y'all, but I called up. So, okay, let me tell you. Okay, y'all, it's going to be long. Here we go. So here's the thing. There's so many good parts to it. What do we do? About 3 hours? Here we go. So I thought, I'm going to call the mayor. And the mayor was Mayor Lee Brown. Well, okay, I got to set this up. I'm 18 years old. I'm at my house. My mom and dad are going somewhere one night. I remember like it's yesterday. I said, where y'all going? I said, we're going to a reception to greet the new police chief in town. First African-American police chief was Lee Brown. And I'm 18 years old. Well, do you know him? No. I asked my parents, did they invite you to come? No. Why are you going? We're just going to support him, to let him know that there are churches that are behind him. And that just seemed, 18 years old, but there's other things to do. They didn't invite you. Why are you going? But that's my parents sowing seeds. Well, fast forward, 20 years later, it's no longer the police chief, he's the mayor. So I called the mayor that same day that friend told me that. I said, Mayor Brown, I hear the Rockets, it was a city-owned facility. I said, I hear the Rockets are moving out. Lakewood would be interested in purchasing that. He said, Joel, I think Lakewood having the compact center would be great for the city of Houston. So let me tell you, Mayor Brown from the start was for us. And behind the scenes, things I can't tell you, but he favored us. Because you had to put it out for bid and all that stuff. But you know what? It was the hand of God. We had to get, I'm going to tell you one last thing. We had to get 10 city council members to vote for us. And there are 15 council members. We had to convince 10. Well, I'd never done city politics, and I spent so much time down there at the city and all that stuff and meeting these people. We had 10. It was 3 days before the main vote. We'd worked a year and a half, and one of our votes got so much pressure from the other side, he decided to be out of town. Well, him being out of town was only 9 votes. It was his way of not voting for us and not taking all the heat. But, and I thought, okay, God, we're 48 hours away from this big thing. We had it all wrapped up. The papers already said we're going to have it and all that. And I know we're not going to have it. So there was a young Jewish council member that had been against us for 2 years. And I'd given him my best speeches. Councilmember Goldberg, this is going to be good for the city and all this. And I couldn't convince him. So I went back that last day, the day before the main vote, the last vote of the year actually. And I said, Councilmember, we need your vote. He said, you don't have to tell me, I'm going to vote for you. He had changed his vote. And I thought, did I hear you right? I said, what are you going to do? You're going to vote. I said, what happened? He said, I got a call last night from a Jewish family friend that I hadn't spoken to in 20 years. And she's very influential in our family. We loved her, we respect her. And she told me in no uncertain terms I was to vote for Lakewood having the compact center. And it was her phone call and his vote that gave us the compact center. I've never met that lady. I don't know who she is. But I say that to say God has the right people lined up for you. He has the buildings that you need. And what I thought was a closed door was really the hand of God. The longer I live, and I'm not near as old as my sister Lisa, but the longer I live, the more I realize I don't fight the closed doors. I don't fight the things, the disappointments. I don't even fight the betrayals, the people that are not for you. We wouldn't have salvation if Judas had not betrayed Jesus. And so you know what? Some people are not supposed to like you. Some people, it probably doesn't sound good, but some people may betray you. But God's in control of your destiny. And you keep in first place. Let me tell you, no person, no critic, no other person can keep you from what God has for you. God has the final say. He's breathing in your direction. And I guess part of my testimony, our testimony is when you believe, who knows what God will do. If you dare to take the limits off of Him. Anyway, that was good, wasn't it? I can't have this people on TV. Y'all got to be serious on TV. Yeah, I didn't tell you that part. Okay, I'll tell you the other part. I was trying to keep the story short. So we were trying to get the compact center, and one of my friends was at a business luncheon with this very influential business leader in town, and they were sitting at these tables, a couple hundred people, but he didn't know, this influential leader didn't know this guy sitting in his table was associated with me. But this was when we were trying to get the compact center, and it was a big thing in the news. Oh, this church going to try to get it and all that stuff. And this business leader told my friend, it'll be a cold day in hell before Lakewood gets the compact center. And we had a lot of people that were against us. They didn't want a church. It's in the nicest business district and all that stuff. And so, of course, my friend came back and told me it's going to be a cold day in hell. That's what he said. And I thought, well, you know what? That just gave us more fuel for the fire. Because you know what? It was David versus Goliath. The people that wanted the property owned all the property, owned all the buildings around it. They were the largest taxpayer in Texas. That's who our opponents were, and we're a church. But you know what? Again, this well-known business leader being against us, these other people being against us. But you know what? Today we have a compact center, and I think must be a cold day in hell because every time he drives by, he says Lakewood Church, and so you know what? People can't stop your destiny. I do think too, April, we've already talked about it, you got to let it go in one ear and out the other. Let it be fuel. I had no animosity toward him nor other people that are not for me. You know what? They don't know us. Half the people that criticize you, half the people that they don't really know your heart. And I've learned this: don't try to control things you can't control. I pray every day, God, my reputation is in your hands. I'm gonna honor you. I'm gonna treat people right. I'm gonna bless my enemies. Not let that poison, not let that bitterness get on the inside. I think those things can fire you up to pray and believe, but God's good, and we got the compact center.
Maybe Maybe a door has closed in your life and you haven't understood why. I hope today is a reminder that God never shuts something without a purpose. His plan is still unfolding, and what's ahead is greater than what's behind. So don't waste your energy trying to force what was never meant to be. Trust His timing, trust His wisdom, and remember, if God didn't open that door, it's because He has something better prepared for you. So keep walking it out, keep walking in faith, because God always has the final say. Hope you've enjoyed it, and until next time, have an amazing day.